Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth under fire again after new allegations are coming to light. Claims he allegedly shared U.S. military attack plans in a second Signal group chat last month. The New York Times reporting Secretary Hegseth shared information on future military strikes in Yemen in a private Signal chat that included his wife, his brother, and his personal lawyer. Hegseth, though, calls these claims anonymous smears and old news.
See, this is what the media does. They take anonymous sources from disgruntled former employees, and then they try to slash and burn people and ruin their reputations. Not going to work with me, because we're changing the Defense Department, putting the Pentagon back in the hands of warfighters, and anonymous smears from disgruntled former employees on old news doesn't matter.
All right, so these new allegations come after last month's already known about leak, which included several members of the Trump administration, Vice President J.D. Vance, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz, and, of course, Defense Secretary Hegseth. Now, lawmakers reacting to these new allegations overnight, including Senator Chuck Schumer, who took to social media calling for the defense secretary's dismissal, saying in part, quote, "We keep learning how Pete Hegseth put lives at risk, but Trump is still too weak to fire him." So joining me now to break this all down, national political reporter with our partners at thehill.com, Julia Manchester. Julia, great to see you. So we are seeing so far the White House really showing this united front, but even a former top Pentagon spokesperson calls this, quote, chaos. Behind the scenes, what are lawmakers saying? Is the defense secretary potentially on his way out?
Well, look, we are seeing really the divide between Republicans and Democrats that you would expect, Nichole. You have a number of Democrats calling on Hegseth to resign, just like they did following the first Signalgate last month. But of course, Republicans very much, I think, following the administration's lead on this and watching for what President Trump does. And from all we can gather today, President Trump and Pete Hegseth say they are very much on the same page. You heard Pete Hegseth, the defense secretary, in that clip earlier, saying that these are anonymous sources, really throwing cold water on these allegations of chaos. And President Trump also echoing that during another soundbite from the Easter egg roll earlier today. But I think a lot of this, Nichole, will depend on the coverage of this and how much pressure is really put on the White House. I think it obviously took the White House a little bit to get over the news cycle surrounding the Signalgate group chat. But with this happening a second time, it could create another dynamic. Of course, we're coming amid the coverage of Pope Francis's death, for example, and a number of other different news stories, but we're still talking about this. So we'll be, monitoring how the White House is responding to this coverage, how President Trump is responding to this coverage. But another aspect of this is, does the White House necessarily want to back down right now? I think President Trump right now, and we saw this sort of reflected after the first Signalgate, was, there was this perception that President Trump didn't want to bow down to any calls for Hegseth or any of these other officials involved in that group chat to resign, that he was standing firm. So as of now, it seems like it's a united front, but I think we'll start to hear more from lawmakers and get a clearer picture.
All right, so Julia, let's dig into some of these allegations, because this new report alleges the secretary shared detailed military plans in another group chat. This one included his wife, his brother, his personal lawyer. Of course, the secretary says that, these are anonymous smears. He calls this old news. But if this is true, do we know why any of those people would need to know about upcoming military strikes?
Well, that's, I think, a question that needs to be asked of Pete Hegseth, why they were involved in these conversations on what, according to those reports, is on a personal device. We know that, there are government devices, government phones given out to employees for a reason. So that's going to be a question that he's going to come under scrutiny for, in addition to it being on a Signal group chat, something that necessarily we don't know is, secure, really. And from what we've learned from the last Signalgate last month, or that fiasco, it seems like Signal may not necessarily be the most secure form of communicating. This also, Nichole, all of this is coming, I think, amid a lot of public turmoil at the Pentagon. You're seeing a number of officials leaving, saying they don't know why they were fired. You had the former top Pentagon spokesperson writing that op-ed last night. Republicans, the Trump administration, saying this ultimately comes down to disgruntled employees. But I think it's important to have that backdrop to see really the chaos this seems to be happening in front of.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your screen. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.